Right, and we are live. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Traffic Tuesdays and Happy New Year, you guys. Happy 2023. And how was your New Year, Michael?
My New Year was exciting. I would say that. So
Awesome.
I'm happy that we are here. 2023 is going to be a killer, and I'm so excited.
Oh, yeah. All right, cool. So, yeah, today we're starting on principle number 1 because, of course, it's the first week of the new year. And so last week, actually, if you guys remember, by the way, you guys, if you're watching live, don't forget to give us a hashtag live or a hashtag replay if you're watching the replay. So let us know that you're watching. And if you guys remember the recap, or remember last week, the episode from last week, basically we talked about value-based prospecting and with how to do that with cold traffic. So what was that all about, Michael? What is the importance
Yeah,
of building rapport with cold traffic?
it is so important to build rapport and value with cold traffic because a lot of times we expect people to just because we can solve the problem doesn't necessarily mean that they know that we are the right solution for them.
Mhm.
So by using value-based content with cold traffic, it builds trust. It establishes you as the expert, allows you to warm up to the audience, and then now you can create custom audiences based on people's engagement to the content that you've initially created. And how
Yeah,
that looks like
exactly. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So how that looked like was basically, step one, we on the left side here, we have this value-based content, whether it's videos or blogs or images, just providing that value. The step two is anybody who engages with those audiences or with that content, we build custom audiences based on engagement from that. And then step three is really retargeting them to a stronger call to action for that.
Yeah, exactly. So that is kind of a really good framework to use to reach out to cold traffic because, again, like we mentioned last week, this is really important to understand. A lot of people want to start marketing as if, they're talking to warm traffic when a lot of times you have to really just figure out what is happening in the market and meet people where they're at. And so this is exactly how to do that predictably and how to turn cold traffic into warm traffic by applying these 3 steps in your marketing. So super awesome stuff. And basically this week, welcome everybody to Traffic Tuesdays. And the point of this show is we're going to be going over 52 principles of traffic, one principle a week. And today we're talking about principle number 1, which is disruptive marketing for the top of the funnel. So, what is disruptive? What would you consider disruptive marketing, Michael?
So for me, being disruptive, causing disruption is really about getting people's attention. And we look at that from a top of funnel basis because typically, like, you have to find where the traffic is and kind of get in front of it. So you have to like disrupt it in some way. So showing up on people's social feeds and using really emotion to kind of create that disruption to get people's attention is what I would do.
Yeah. And this can work so the reason why this works for cold traffic is because if you're showing up on social feeds, people don't even have to be aware of the problem. So, as a business owner, right, like there's a problem in the marketplace and you have a product or solution that addresses that issue, right? But with disruptive marketing, the people that you're talking to, the cold traffic, doesn't even have to know that they don't even have to be aware of the problem for this to work. And so this is the most top of funnel, and people who aren't even aware of the problem. And the way that you do this is to show up on social feeds and appeal to emotion, like you just said, right? And so basically, if the hook of your product appeals to emotions, your top of funnel advertising has to be disruptive. That's the key. And so how would you go about deciding where to advertise? Like what is the first question that you typically figure out when trying to decide where to advertise?
Yeah. So when when I'm dealing with a client and I'm trying to figure out, all right, is this like, does this require logic or can this be just based on emotion itself? And I like these two examples here of one logic of this computer and like emotional, like this t-shirt that I like love, Back to the Future, right? And when I think about logic, logic requires a little bit more digging, right? So typically it's probably a higher ticket item. But if I buy a computer, I can't just buy any computer. I have to understand, how much RAM does it have? How much space does it have? Is it going to, meet the needs of my requirements and the tools and software that I use? So typically I got to do a lot more digging into, the purchase before I make the purchase itself. Whereas from an emotional standpoint, right, I love Back to the Future, right? And if I see this has happened before where like a t-shirt or, a hat will come through my feed and it doesn't take much for me to think about it. It's like a low ticket item. I like this thing. So it's like this emotional attachment that I have and I could purchase it instantly. And I think a part of that is understanding what the platform's like objective and purposes are. So when we
Mhm.
look at Google, for example, Google is very intent based, right? People are on Google, they're looking for some type of answer or something near them, right? They're looking for a solution. So their intention is very high. When we think about YouTube, YouTube is very educational and entertainment based. So, your how-to videos or trying to really gather information. And then the other platforms where it's like the Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, they're not necessarily people with a high intent, right? But it's more about connections and relationships and entertainment. So being disruptive is super important to this whole piece of the puzzle. Specifically, when you go after the emotional base on these platforms, that's how you get the scroll stopping stuff. So
Yeah, exactly. So basically, if you're appealing to someone's emotions, then the best platforms really to advertise on are, these bottom three: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, because these are basically, they have social feeds, and you basically just want to show up in front of cold traffic, or you can show up in front of cold traffic, and someone can make a purchase decision just from seeing your ad right there. So that is really cool. And so the best platforms for disruptive marketing are, like I said, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. And next week, we're going to be talking principle number 2. We're going to be talking about how to actually show up on social feeds. And so we're going to be covering principle number 2, which is viral marketing. And we're going to be sharing with you the viral video frameworks that you can go predictably viral on these social platforms and show up in front of cold traffic in a way that makes sense and is congruent with the platforms and will turn your cold traffic into warm traffic. And so next week, we're going to be sharing that. And that is all that we had for you guys today. So be sure to register over at traffictuesdays.com to get a free, awesome gift. And do you have anything else to say about principle number 1, Michael?
Not necessarily, but I do want to say thank you for listening to our first episode here and our first principle. I'm super excited to see like everything that we know we have to come is all about getting you guys traffic and understanding these principles that typically are evergreen. And just to go a little bit based on principle number 1, it's really about understanding, your product or service. Does it take a little bit more logic and more steps to the process before they make it, or can they purchase it right from when they see it?
Awesome. Yeah, we're super excited to be sharing the rest of these principles with you. So tune in for principle number 2 next week, and we will talk to you guys later. Thanks for watching.
Thank you.